Hey everybody, and good morning. Welcome to our week number 7 Twitch live stream for my intro psych classes. We have this week and next week. Hard to believe that we are so close to the end of our class. But thank you so much for those of you who are on here with me. Can you all hear me and see me okay? I'm on campus today, so sometimes the internet's a little less fantastic here, but hopefully you can all hear and see me just fine. Great. Thank you, Juan, for letting me know. Thank you. Everyone else, hopefully everything is coming through fine on your end. So what I want to do for today, perfect. A lot of you said yes, great, great. What I want to do is I give you a little bit of feedback about the last 2 weeks since we finished weeks 5 and 6, and then we'll talk about what we have going on this week. We have this week and next week, and then we are done. But I hope all of you are doing well and hanging in there. I don't know if anyone else is there, but I am obsessed about the weather that's coming up for this weekend. I don't know if any of you have been watching, but we have like a chance of frozen rain snow mix, and I'm way too excited about the possibility that that could maybe happen. I should let it go because it probably won't, but it's going to get quite chilly and we have a chance of rain and snow. I mean, I screenshotted it on my phone because it said snow. That never happens here. So we'll see what happens, and maybe we'll be excited to talk about it next week. We'll see. But I hope you're hanging in there. Again, we're getting close to the end of our class. Let's go over to Canvas together and take a look at everything we have going on. And as always, if you have questions about anything or comments or thoughts, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will get to them. But we are right here. So weeks 7 and 8, the last 2 weeks of our semester. You're not prepared. I'm not prepared either. I have snow boots, but I mean it won't stick. It won't stay on the ground, but it would be so much fun if it snowed even for a minute. One flake is all I want. Just one snowflake and I'd be happy. So we're right here, weeks 7 and 8. Let's talk really quickly about weeks 5 and 6. And I, of course, sent out an email on Monday night, as always. But just to give you a little bit of feedback, thank you for your honesty on that second self-assessment. I enjoyed kind of reading your reflection on how things are going for you. And a lot of you saying you're pretty happy with where you're at, which is fantastic. Let's look at the 2 discussions for week 5 and 2 for 6 in the exam really quickly, and then we'll move on. But for discussion number 9, I enjoyed reading about your fad diets and the advantages and disadvantages of your diets. It's wild. There are so many of these, and all of you had different ones, which was really fun to read. I enjoyed also your thoughts about like the media and the role that that can play in wanting to lose weight or in influencing eating disorders. Really nicely done. Biggest reason people lost points, just not quite giving me enough. Maybe not really reporting all the components of your diet, or not saying a lot about the role of the media, not responding to a classmate. But otherwise, this one was kind of an easier discussion. For the most part, really nicely done. Discussion number 10. We have right here, this one you were looking at emotions and kind of looking at, how could we explain the order of events from all 3 different theories, and then you were looking at how do we spot a lie. I give you a little bonus. As a side note, I have never been to Africa. I have never been to Africa. That would be so much fun. But I do have 2 brothers, and I did once crochet an entire blanket for my partner. It was very romantic of me. It took me like 6 months. And I was like, I thought of you the whole time, right? But I've never been to Africa. And I tricked quite a few of you. I think it's because I'm such a bad liar and I just smiled through all of it. But really nicely done. A few people only analyzed the order of events from one theory, or you didn't quite give me enough. Otherwise, for the most part, great job. And a lot of you watched my 2 truths and a lie, which is great. Yeah, you got it right. A few people did get it right, that I've never been to Africa. Saying that every other one was a little bit more detailed and that one was really broad. And apparently I fidgeted a little bit more as I said that. I'm an awful, awful liar in general. Which might make it hard to figure out. So nicely done for those of you who nailed that I've never been to Africa. The other thing that we had, discussions 11 and 12. Discussion 11, if we look quickly at that, I enjoyed your reactions to the songs. Some of you said you got your country fix for the year. I made you listen to 2 country songs in a week. And I enjoyed your birthday cards. Thank you so much for all of you who uploaded pictures. That was a lot of fun. Biggest reason people lost points was really just not giving me enough on the songs. A lot of people just gave me kind of a few general things, but didn't highlight lyrics or connect them enough to the materials. Most of you did great. A lot of talking about the cards that you saw and the general messages. If you had to be stuck at one age, a lot of you said in your 20s, like your early 20s, like between 21 and 25 was a very, very popular range of ages. Not a lot of people later than that or earlier than that. It was like the 20s were very, very popular. The last discussion that we had, discussion number 12, related to personality. A lot of you seem to enjoy the little test that you got to take. It was fun reading your descriptions of yourself and then your reactions to other people's descriptions. So very nicely done. Again, the biggest reason people lost points was not replying to a classmate or just not quite giving me enough. But overall, I feel like most of you at this point have a good idea of what I'm looking for, and a lot of you are earning full points, and that's fantastic. So nicely done on those 4 discussions. The exam was also quite solid. A lot of you did really well on exam number 3. We do have one more test to go. So we have exam number 4, which is just a final 4th test. It's not cumulative. This last exam that we have coming up is just a 4th exam. There's a study guide and everything like usual. And we'll talk about the exam more next week when we do our last Twitch live stream next Wednesday. So any thoughts, questions, comments, anything at all about weeks 5 and 6 before we move on to week number 7, which we started here on Monday? Just to double check, any last questions, anything about weeks 5 or 6 or anything in general? Feeling good? Good. I'm glad you're happy and feeling good. Thumbs up. I like it. If you think of anything, put it in the chat. Otherwise, this week we move on to week 7 and 8. And I want to remind you, and I'm going to remind you of this multiple times, our class officially ends on Friday, March 3rd at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. I know our weeks have normally been ending on Sunday. I have no control over this, and I know it's confusing, but I'm going to remind you a bunch of times our class officially ends not this Friday, but next Friday, March 3rd at 11:59 p.m. So maybe get going a little bit earlier. You don't have quite as much time as normal, but you still have all the way till Friday night. So for this week, we are looking at chapters 13 and 14. So stress and health, and then psychological disorders. So 2 very kind of interesting and core topics. So make sure you read chapter 13 in the textbook. Make sure you read chapter 14 in the textbook. And then, as always, go through my lectures and my lecture videos. You also have 2 discussions for this week, as usual. So let's take a look at those together. For discussion 13, and I just actually made this prompt just over the weekend. I replaced the old one I had with something new. And I know 1 or 2 of you, like Nicole, have me in person. And so you can do this for both if you were curious. But the discussion number 13, you're going to be watching my video, as always. And then make sure to answer all of my questions that I have below. So there is a little article for you to read right here. This discussion is all about mindfulness and self-care, which are 2 things that came up a lot in the chapter that are very related to stress and health. So for this one, you're going to read the article, which is right here. And I also recorded it just a couple of days ago. So you can listen to me reading it or you can read it yourself. There's a couple of images down here and kind of examples and so on. It's not overly long, but it's going to tell you a little bit about what is self-care and why it is important. The bulk of your response, though, is going to be this one. And this is something, as I said, it's brand new, but I'm really excited to see what you come up with. You're going to be taking and sharing, so uploading, 5 pictures of you engaging in some kind of self-care activity. These are going to be your own images. I want them to be your own original work. Use your phone or any camera that you have at your disposal. Please try to have these images be thoughtful, creative, and well composed. You do not need to be in these pictures, and I would actually prefer if you weren't. So try and have them be of whatever activity you're doing. It can be of any activity or any element of it. This doesn't have to be something big. Try not to overthink it. It's anything that you do to care for yourself or give yourself a break in some way. So maybe you went and got your favorite cup of coffee, right? That could be a self-care activity. Maybe you went on a walk, or you took a nap, or you played a game, or you took a walk outside. Anything that you do to take care of yourself. And the article is going to talk about different realms of self-care, so it can be in any of them. But you're going to take 5 pictures of you engaging in some kind of self-care activity and upload them. And then for each picture, I want you to write a short description of the activity and how it promotes self-care, your experience, what did you do, how did you feel before and after. Just a couple of sentences. So if you got your favorite cup of coffee, just describe that, right? And was it nice to treat yourself to a cup of coffee or not? If you went on a walk, where did you go? How was it? What did you do? Like, you're just giving me a very brief description. And I shared this with my classes in person, and I'll share it with you as well. I am writing a book about self-care, and the whole goal of this book is going to be sharing examples of practical ways to engage in self-care and mindfulness. And so if I really love your image, I might reach out to you about the possibility of including you in those examples in the book. So have fun and be creative with it, and I will probably reach out to several of you to see if you would like to be included in those examples in the book. And it's just going to be like your initials, so your name won't be in there, but your image might be, which would be kind of fun. So I look forward to seeing what you come up with this. Again, try not to overthink it. Just anything you do as a way to care for yourself, right? Mine is like all pictures of cake, engaging in self-care cake activities. And then for discussion 14, the other one for this week, you're looking at the idea of mental illness. And this one, I'm going to have you read a short article right here, and I have it linked, and I did read this one as well if you would like to listen to it. This is an excerpt from a book that was written in 1960. So it's an old book, but it's still a very common kind of polar opposite idea on mental illness. Now, we're approaching mental illness from the lens that it's a real thing, it's diagnosable, it's recognizable. Thomas Szasz, the one who wrote this, went from the perspective that mental illness is a myth. And I thought it would be really interesting and important for you to see an opposite perspective. And so what I want you to do is read this article or listen to it, and then you're going to answer a couple of questions about what you read. Number 1, summarize Szasz's main ideas. What are some of the reasons he presents as support for his claims of calling mental illness a myth? Do you agree with him? All right, why or why not, right? You might agree partially, 100%. You might violently disagree. What are your thoughts? And then, do you think diagnoses stigmatize people? In what ways do they maybe help or hinder people? So you're going to be thinking about it. Yeah, Szasz, Thomas Szasz, right? Which is kind of an odd one. But yeah, you're going to be giving me your opinions, your thoughts, and your summary. And I look forward to what you come up with. And then that is kind of the core stuff for this week. So you have discussion, 13 and 14. I'll give you the extra credit in a few minutes. Week number 8 is open for you. So if you wanted to work ahead and finish up your materials in the class, that's totally possible. Next week, we're looking at therapies and social psychology. You have 2 discussions, an exam, a closing assignment, and a closing survey. So I'm going to go through each of those components next week. But if you wanted to get going on them, the exam is there, the closing assignment is there. You can look through all those instructions. But when I see you next week, we'll go through all those components for our last live stream that we have together. Clear spelling is not my specialty either. Don't worry about it. Not a problem at all. I knew what you meant. So yes, Thomas Szasz. So those are the big things for this week. I do have a couple of reminders for you. Are there any questions at all about the discussions? About any of that, I will obviously give you the extra credit and a couple of reminders here. Let me put 2 things here in the chat. The first one, as always, please take a moment to double check your subscription status. Almost all of you have fallen off at this point. If you have the ability to renew it one last time, that obviously saves me time and energy, and I greatly appreciate it. The other thing I want to remind you, our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, March 1st at 11:30 in the morning. Okay, so we will have one more Twitch live stream, which will be next week on Wednesday, March 1st at 11:30. So I will hope that you join me one last time for that. And again, if you're watching this later, you can watch it one last time online. But that will be our last one. I will go over the closing assignment and the final exam so you know what to do and what to expect. And that will be next week at our normal time. I can't believe our class is almost over. It went so fast. And I just got an alert on my phone that rain is starting within 15 minutes. I don't know if I believe that or not, but it's coming. I'm so excited. So let me give you the extra credit question for this week, which I have written out up here so that you have it. And I'll show you where to answer that and then kind of call it a day here. So our week number 7 Twitch extra credit question is, what does DSM stand for and what edition are we currently in? So what does DSM stand for and what edition are we currently in? And this is something I talked about in the lecture for the week. And when you're ready, you will go to week number 7 where we are at and click on optional Twitch extra credit number 7. And then up here at the top, you will click on start assignment. And it brings up this text box where you can type your response and then go ahead and hit submit whenever you're ready. And that will give you that little confetti burst and pandas riding a unicycle. I don't know why, but it'll give you that confetti burst. This is worth 2 points. It's due by March 3rd when our class ends at 11:59 p.m. You can do this one and the next one. A couple of people asked me, you said you're trying to renew your subscription and you're having a hard time. And so let me show you how to do that really quickly. And if you are feeling good about it and want to go, you're welcome to, but let me show you. So if you go onto Twitch and you go on to my channel, I have to show you on a random channel, and I think I've shown you this before. But if you go on to, let's say, like a football channel that I follow, underneath this little banner right here, there's this orange, wow, orange. Yes, this orange right here, this purple drop down bar right here. And if you click on the little arrow, it brings up this option. And all the way down at the bottom right here, it says use Prime sub. Okay, so if you click on use Prime sub, then you can subscribe for free with Prime. If it doesn't give you the option, it might mean that you aren't eligible yet, but that's how you go back and resubscribe. If you've already linked your accounts, it's very, very easy to do that. So if you have the opportunity to do that sometime, I would really appreciate it. Otherwise, if you can't, don't worry about it. But what we have here, again, make sure you get going on the materials for this week. So you have all of the stuff from week number 7. And then if you wanted, you can move on to week number 8 and kind of finish up everything for the class. But these are the core things to work on for this week. So get going on all that stuff. I will hang out for a little bit. If you do have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope that we get some rain and some snow and some cold weather. Cancel my softball practice so I can just hang out at home and relax. But I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you as well. And I hope you have a great week. And I will hopefully see all of you for our next live stream, our last one next week. So thank you all so much. I'm gonna write this in here. Thank you too. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and everyone be careful in the rain, especially if it snows and it gets a little icy or like slippery. Be careful. Enjoy the cold weather, you as well. I'm gonna minimize my video, but I will hang out for a little bit. If you do have any questions for me, feel free to ask and put them in the chat. Otherwise, I will hope to see you all next week for our very last live stream. Thank you so much for all of you joining me live. Thank you, thank you. And if you're watching this later, that works too. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Carlina. Thank you for putting that in there. Okay.
For the self-care.
Oh, it's not working?
It gave me a weird message.
Huh.
It said like access denied.
Oh, that's not good.
I was like, wait, that's okay. Sorry, I didn't know.
Oh, no, it's okay. That's why I just thought. I just brought that because I heard you know. Oh, how strange. So I'll go check it.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just like a Canvas fluke, but I'll check it and
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be fine. Thank
I
you
love
for
cold weather.
this is chilly. It's chilly. Right. I'll see you later. Thank you for letting me know. You too. And I am still here if you do have any questions at all. Otherwise, have a wonderful week.